Welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. Today is our monthly series called Coaching Moments with Ryan D.J. Now, if you're not familiar with Ryan, or if you're new to our show, Ryan comes on every month to give our listeners and our viewers a coaching moment and a coaching session. Let me tell you about Ryan. Now, Ryan D.J. is a progressive thought leader focused on providing for his agents and his staff at D.J. Properties. His strengths are his motivational skills, coaching style, and dedication to training. He has 14 offices throughout Chicagoland. He's also in Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, and Florida. D.J. Properties focuses on high customer service, managing and executing their agents' marketing and transaction management for them so that agents can stay focused on what they do best, their business. And if you'd like to take your career to the next level, or if you're just not getting the attention you need, check out D.J. Properties. Visit daprilproperties.com, D-A-P-R-I-L-E, properties.com. And again, they are in Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Florida, and of course, Illinois. Welcome, Ryan, once again to the show.
Thanks, DJ. Appreciate it.
Ryan and I were just talking before we started. I was telling him I got back from the Zillow Industry Forum that I was very fortunate to be able to attend. And Ryan's like, "Hey, let's save all this for the show," because I wanted to talk to it. Yeah, I was doing what a good host should not do, which is give away all of the conversation beforehand.
But you seemed like it was almost like shifting and like earth moving for you, and so I kind of want to catch that emotion here for all of our listeners, right? It was.
I'm energized. I want to tell you, I had a very fun experience because, and I think this is still relevant for me. I had just the weirdest coincidence that my sister, who is a chief marketing officer for a pet food company called Canada, just in the weirdest of coincidences, also happened to be in the same small town in Southern California that I was at for the Zillow conference. And she does not live in California, nor do I. And we were both there the exact same days for different conferences, 2 miles apart. So she was able to come see mine and I was able to come see hers. And I was so excited to see my sister present. The CMO of Target was introducing her and then did a Q&A with her. So this was a room full of very, very powerful chief marketing officers. And after the Zillow conference, I went and saw her speak. And I got energized by that as well, because the big focus of that, it was a branding conference. And the big focus was on ongoing trends that consumers are most interested in, which include things like being mission driven, being a company that has something that they believe in, that is about creating good for the community or for the world. And I was excited about that. Because I'm trying to realize, I'm realizing that that's what agents, especially the millennials and Gen Z, that's what they're looking for in a brokerage. Having a firm that is about more than just doing a real estate transaction. But I wanted to shift all the way back to something that I know you are very passionate about. And this is a topic we didn't get into because Ryan stopped me. He's like, let's talk, wait for the show. So this is be something that's new. And I love this because I know this is a passion of yours. And so I was in this conference with all of these broker owners. And so we end up chatting with them. And these are people that run brokerages. And I was saying to them, because the model that we have at our firm is a bit more of a hands-off model. And so physical offices aren't that important for my model. But I was curious what other brokerages who are more traditionally focused, we're thinking about for office space. And most people were saying, yeah, agents really aren't coming in anymore. And I agree with that. Same with at our office. But what I was curious to get your take on is I was hungry to be around other people in person, that because for the last couple of years, that was very difficult and really impossible in a lot of ways. And I thought it was so nice to be able to touch, other people, shake their hand, hug them if they were friendly, if we were friends, be able to just be in community. Zoom meetings aren't really cutting it for that sort of intimacy. And I know that you have a lot of thoughts around agents, offices, and I'm curious to get your thoughts about where you see that headed. Because the easy answer is no one's coming back to the office. We're all working remote. And that's just the way it's going to be. I'm not so sure. And I'm curious what your thoughts are.
I'm pretty sure that I think the trend will reverse. Even myself I found myself working from home over these past 2 years, and kind of almost lost my way a little bit. And I've been talking to a lot of my agents and saying, guys, I'm getting back to the basics. And what I mean by that is, I've been going to our offices. I've been leading office meetings. If I'm working, I'm not working out of a headquarters. I'm working out of an office. I'm in our Naperville office right now. And it is incredible to see the need for community amongst a company. A company, I saw Simon Sinek say, the company is your tribe, it's your people, it's your group, and it is. And we all came to this organization based on our values of who we are, of holding each other up, being vulnerable, talking about where we are, how we're feeling, and how do we kind of work with each other. Now, there are times where an office is completely empty. There are times where it's asses and elbows, as I like to say. This morning, I walked in Naperville. There was a closing going on. There was 6 agents in like the bullpen, and there was 2 executives meeting in another room. It was a leader and another agent, in a recruiting meeting, talking about joining the organization. The office was packed and it was alive. And my Apple Watch just died. It's 2:30 or so, and it's dead. But that doesn't mean the office isn't needed. And there might be that one particular agent says, I just got to get out of my house this morning and I have to find somewhere to work where there's nobody around me. And I do a lot of recruiting, and I do a lot of recruiting for all of our companies, and a lot of the people, even loan officers that are kind of working from their homes, they kind of feel lost in a bit. They lost the camaraderie. It's not like, hey, I'm going to come to the office and I got to sit here and I'm going to work here Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. But I don't think if you have a place for somebody to station, you might have a very fine company. It's just a completely different culture from the organization that I run and that my people are looking for. And, they're looking for that camaraderie. They're looking for that getaway. They're looking for that environment, and every company provides different things. I'm not going to be the real estate company that's, having a party every single night or every single month and all that. I serve a lot of agents that, I want to work, I want to make money, but then I kind of want to go do my own thing. I want to be myself, or I want to be with my family. I don't want to be doing this. There's a lot of different companies out there, and they all do it the right way because it works for them. There are companies that are, 100% commission-based companies that are completely virtual. There are the multi-level marketing companies where, they're recruiting and they're virtual. And then there's other ones that they got offices, whatever works for them. Then there's the real estate companies where, they've got a party going on feels like every 2 weeks they're having a party and they're doing something. And so it comes back to like what you said, that chief marketing officer for Target said, your brand and your identity and what are you? And it's key to know who you are. And I honestly almost felt like I lost a little bit of that. And now that I'm getting back with the agents and I'm in our offices and I'm talking to my agents side by side, it's like, oh, this is who we are. That's right. This is what we are. This is what I'm doing right. Keep doing. This is what I'm doing wrong. Get back to what you were doing right. And that all came from physical environment and being here and learning in real time from them. Whether it's a big, beautiful office or it's a satellite office we have somewhere, it's still an office. It still works. It's still somewhere to kind of come, have your community, be with the people, and then go on with your day.
I think there's something that is hard to replicate virtually, which is the getting to experience the energy of a busy office, or just people being busy in an office. Making phone calls. You walk by and someone's making, not that everyone should be making cold calls, because of course for a lot of people that's not in their what they want to do, but to watch somebody do that might just inspire someone else to go, hey, how's that working for you? Does that work? And then, oh yeah, it works, you should try it. Just even getting exposure to other ways of doing things is hard to do virtually, unless you've set up a structure where people are sharing that, and in person they can just walk by. And I've been to your office, your head office here in the city. And it's bustling with activity. And that's really exciting and fun. And there's an energy there. So I sort of think there'll be more. There was a lot of talk at the conference about offices going away in the sense of having as many desks or as many private offices and being more lounge driven. There was a lot of, hey, we want a fun place where people can hang out and learn and still work. But
there's in between, right?
Yeah.
I actually did the lounge at one time, and people were like, I need a place to have a conversation. I need a little privacy.
Yeah.
So you have to find a happy medium. It can't be all,
Yeah.
all or nothing. So it's nice to lounge around. It's nice to talk to somebody, but I got a call I got to make. And I could even just sit at a workstation where there's little things up. It gives me at least enough privacy that I need to have, or a little telephone booth that you have, or maybe it's a little office. But I think, it's know thyself, right? Know who you are and what works for you. I do know that everybody gets into ruts. I know that everybody gets in patterns. It's easy to just kind of to do that, something over and over again that might be the wrong thing to do. And the nice thing about an office is you're going to be around other professionals that might dialogue with you. And sometimes you realize, Jesus, it was the basics that got me here. And it's the basics I got to get to. There's a post I shared with our agents this morning. We have an internal group page, and I like to email and post something that's meaningful to me that I can relate to them, that's meaningful. And it's this by Victoria Erickson, the author of Edge of Wonder. Consistency is an underappreciated form of intentional magic disguised as a mundane doing. I was like, God, is that a kick-ass saying? What a great saying. And I think to be consistent, sometimes you need a professional environment to go to. Sometimes you need other professionals around you. Yeah, and I think it's really easy for these multi-billion-dollar organizations to talk about these are the trends and these are the shifts, but there's macro and there's micro and there's theory and there's reality. And I just still, there are lone rangers and there are packs, right? And so a lone ranger might be able to thrive and work from home and not see anybody. But there's a lot of us that we like to run in packs. And it's nice to have that space, that place to drive to, that office to come to. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't be doing it if I wouldn't be having them if it didn't make sense. Yes, I do have offices that some days are completely empty, but man, when I need them, I need them. But remember, I'm vertically integrated, right? You got real estate, you got mortgage, you got title. We got all these different things, and these offices, I'm putting them to use as well.
Yeah, I think everything you said just makes a lot of sense. And I think too, if there are any broker owners listening who are maybe contemplating what the future of their physical space, their offices may be, I would say ping your agents. This is a great opportunity to run a survey, and especially an anonymous survey, and say, hey, if you're thinking about it, if we were to do away with the office, how would you feel about that? And not how would you feel about it today, but really think about it for the next year if it was not available to you. And would you like to do more events? And I always say, like you're saying, like you got to know your customer, and the customer dictates the terms, really. So I think great opportunity. And if you are an agent,
the funny thing is when you ask those things, sometimes you want to do more events, then you do the events and not many people show up. So it's kind of, it's a little bit of a questionnaire that's kind of observing and then kind of just swimming downstream and going with it. And it's, it's a very interesting business. It really is a very interesting business. And it's a business that's kind of cannibalized itself, the real estate brokerage business, I should say. And then, but it has to give a lot. And so there's a give and take with everything. There really is a give and take with everything. And I think the real estate brokerage business has some adjusting and fixing to do for itself to make itself a healthy business again. And again, you look at some of these companies that are now public and you see they lost $500 million last year.
Yeah.
And they're trying to fight everything, but somebody lost $500 million and that was their investors. You know what I mean? And that's the stuff that's going on. And and the value that they add is probably tremendous and great, but it comes with a cost. And I think there's a reckoning going to be coming, I think, in the brokerage business, the model, which maybe we could segue into what you saw over the Zillow conference, right? But of how that, how that works and what we see. But I am adamant that, what we do and what we provide in terms of marketing and transaction management and office space and coaching and technology is a huge value. It has a price to it though, and the people that pay the price benefit from it, and they actually earn more money from it. And I think they get more enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I think technology, it's so interesting. We're getting to a point where tech used to be behind lock and key. The only people that had access to information about buying or selling a home were agents. And agents no longer are the barrier to that entry point, right? It's on every website with an IDX data feed. Most notably Zillow, they get 200 million unique visitors per month just from the United States alone. And if we put that in perspective, there's 350 million people in the United States. So just about everybody, let's assume that's everybody is using Zillow, and the technology that's available for free on Zillow instantly is better than any business's IDX website where people can browse, or any individual agent's website. I started to think at this conference, and I'd love to get your thoughts. At some point, it's going to be, I think the disparity between the technology that agents have access to, maybe through their MLS or through the different third-party vendors they might be using, the disparity between how technologically advanced, let's just talk about the MLS, because that's one thing that we don't have control over. We belong to an association. They provide an MLS solution, a software solution that you may like or you might not like, but you're stuck with it. Whereas, consumers can go on Zillow. Zillow is a tech company, so they're able to, that's what they do best. They're able to consistently optimize that experience for the consumer. At some point, the available tech that the consumer is going to have is going to be better, faster, and easier to use than what agents have. And so I'm curious to see sort of how that impacts agents, and what your thoughts are about how that tech is just going to keep getting better for the consumer and keep getting more personalized. Whereas, the MLS technology that agents have really can't keep up with that level of progress. And I'm curious if you see that as an issue or a good thing for agents.
I think for probably over a decade now, the consumers already had better technology for us. And I do know now, going on, I think 17 years, 2008, how many, 14, 15 years, the data of the inventory of homes, what's available, all that stuff shifted over to the consumer 15 years ago.
Yeah.
Already.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess my opinion on that is, if the access to the information was the key differentiator of a real estate agent or not an agent, we would have been put out of business 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's, and I've been saying that since I've been 32 years old, and I'm 46 now, and I've been looking at this stuff and said I've not seen it change yet. So yeah, the consumer, goes to all these different websites that are out there. Here's a great point. I was chatting with one of our agents the other day, and one of our agents it's a large $10 million listing. Okay. And we will be the second brokerage, right? They're changing companies. And I was advising her on information that the consumer is asking about marketing. Okay. And they had interviewed, they went with another real estate company prior to us, right? Which was a national real estate company. And then they are interviewing us and 3 other organizations. One's a small independent. There's us, we're a regional player, right? And then there's 2 large international, right, or national real estate companies. And I was advising her on this, and I said, what's their pain point? What happened to the individuals?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
They had 2 offers on the previous property, and both fell through during inspection. And I will tell you, I know who the agent is. And so does my, right? We know this particular agent. I'll tell you, this particular agent, and I love her business. I love her agents. This one particular agent has probably one of the sharpest tongues you'll ever meet. Okay. And it will put you in your place sooner than you even know how. And like, how did that person do that to me? Right. And we know individuals out there like that. This independent brokerage compared to our brokerage, I said, there's no difference. And that's who the listing agent was. Now we're shifting gears and we're looking at our competition, the one-man shop, us, and the national real estate company. Do you know when I list this particular home, the day we push a button, if you're in Singapore or if you're in Johannesburg, Africa, you're going to see the listing.
Yeah. And
so the marketing of that home is really kind of irrelevant. And the reality is real estate is hyper local. And who's going to take care of you during this transaction? You have a $10 million property that fell through twice. You're changing brokerages after a year of being on the market. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of stress. That's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of carrying costs with that kind of property, right? And the question is marketing, data, the consumer seeing the property. I don't think so. I don't think so. It's consultation. It is prepping the home. It's prepping the sellers. It's meeting with the buyer's agent and the buyer. It's negotiating the contract. It's meeting with the home inspector who may have an ego and working with that home inspector. And when there's questions, working with, in Illinois, where there's attorneys, the 2 attorneys. What do attorneys learn to do in college or in law school? What do they learn to do, DJ?
Argue.
They're taught to fight.
Yeah.
They're taught to fight. What do real estate agents have to do? We got to get in between these attorneys and stop fighting. We're trying to make a deal go here. It's a lot of emotional intelligence that gets involved in here. And everybody sees these things. You went to this conference. You are jacked up, right? The world is changing. The industry's changing. Like, maybe. But the consumers had better data, I think, than we've had for 14 years. Yeah. And they have real time. And they come to us over and over again because of the relationship we have, because of the emotional intelligence we provide, and because we're a buffer. I'm a real estate agent by trade. That's what I am. When I buy a property or I lease one of my properties, I don't do it by myself and save a commission. I don't have the time. And when I'm negotiating with somebody directly, a particular landlord, I don't want to talk to them. I don't want them to hear me. I don't want to hear my voice tremble. I don't want them to hear my emotion on it. I want to be able to have a direct conversation with my leasing agent, what exactly I want, then let him go to battle and then come back to me and debrief me. Like, if it wasn't a valuable service, I wouldn't use it. I would just do it myself. For God's sakes, I own a real estate brokerage with 14 offices.
Yeah.
But when I buy a property and a lease property, I have somebody come to stay in between me.
I did the same thing when I bought my condo here, and it's more obvious why I would, is I'm not a practicing agent. However, I could ask any of the 800 agents at our company or anyone in our management team, what should I do in this scenario? And they would give me great advice. And yet I chose not to do that because I know that it's that old adage, a doctor, or it's like a lawyer who represents himself in court has a fool for a client, right? It's that old sort of joke that is true. It's like a doctor shouldn't treat themselves. But what and so I think you're right, because and Zillow said this. They said, despite the fact that, this tech keeps evolving and we're considered the forefront leaders of this, still 90% of all real estate residential transactions go through a realtor. And why is that? Because they don't need you? No. In the 90s, in the low 90s.
And by the way, it was in the low 90s in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. And I met, this is many, many years ago, about 10 years ago. I had just started in this industry. And I met with a friend of mine whose husband is a CFO of a massive online finance company. I'll just kind of leave it at that. And he turned to me and he goes, this is really not a good business to get into right now, because tech is just going to erase the importance of a real estate agent. And this is a guy who knows things. And I said, oh, I hope you're wrong. And he goes, yeah, I don't think I'm wrong. And here we are now 10 years later. And yeah, he was wrong, because you're right. The emotional part of the journey can't be really automated.
This is the kind of stuff that shifts a real estate agent's business, sometimes to the negative. You went to this conference, it was mind-blowing, right? And I'm like, let's talk about this here, because it was just like a little bit like you texted me the day before, right?
Yeah.
You said, dude, this was unbelievable. The industry's changing. Like, what's good? Isn't that true, DJ? Right? We were talking about all this.
Yeah.
Like, okay, sorry. Right. So it's kind of like, and then, so that's why I'm like, we're going to see all of this stuff. And I always tell everybody, the only thing that's going to disrupt your business is you. And understand the value of you and who you are. And that's what they're hiring. And that's what they want. That's the value. The data is accessible. It's out there. Anyway, Zillow has a platform and they access the data from the MLS. They have some artificial intelligence and do this, they do that. They do a lot of amazing things. You're not Zillow. I'm not another real estate broker. I'm who I am. D'Able Properties is who we are. This is who we want to be. We're not trying to be another real estate brokerage. We know who we are. We know what our value proposition is. Sometimes I've lost that. Right. And sometimes I forgot that. And sometimes, oh my gosh, I'm trying to be the other person. Whoa, no, I'm not. This is who I am. This is what I like. There's space for this. There's value for this. People value it. And that's what we all have to get back to with our individuals is, what is our value proposition? You said to me earlier, I said, ask us on the podcast. And so I'm going to ask you now, what was the question about Amazon?
So yeah, we were having conversations with some of the Zillow people, and my sister was there as well. My sister works in retail with pet food, and I said to her, so 40% of her business is these independent of pet food stores, not the big chains, the small mom and pop shops. And I said, Dana, do you think those mom and pop shops will even be around in 10 years? And she's like, I don't know. I'm worried about them. I'm not worried about the chains. I'm worried about the mom and pop shops. And I was thinking about Amazon. And so we started talking about Amazon with Zillow and my sister. And I said, most of us, or I shouldn't say most of us, I am hooked on Amazon. I buy almost everything through there that I don't need to see in person, which is 95% of my purchases. I still go to the grocery store. I still run errands and I do things, but I do most of my shopping online. And I'm worried about what retail is going to look like in 10 years. Are we, what's the landscape of retail? Is it going to be as important as it is today? Is technology going to kind of eliminate some of these smaller, small businesses? But it's scary. I'm scared about that. Not so much for real estate, except on the commercial side, I guess. But I'm curious what's going to happen to small businesses as a result.
So here's how I feel about it. So you say you do all your shopping on Amazon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't do any of my shopping on Amazon. But let's not use me as an example. I'm a 46-year-old, over the hill, not a millennial person. So do you have a pet?
I do.
What do you have?
I have a little tiny dog who's currently right underneath this microphone sleeping, but she's almost 14, so she's an old lady.
All right, so we have 11-year-old cockapoo, and I say that she's my fourth daughter.
Yeah.
I love this girl more than anything, right? And she's a part of the family. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and then I have a 15 and 14-year-old daughter. These are pretty tech savvy girls. We live in Western Springs, and there's a shopping center behind us called the Garden Market. And in the Garden Market, there's a Mariano's and a whole bunch of outlet stores. And there's a store that we go and we buy her pet food from. And when my 18-year-old wants to get something for our dog, which they'll want to do every once in a while, or they have like a little dog bath that's kind of fun, right? Because it's literally like a 5-block walk from our house. My 15-year-old, now I'll tell you, my 18-year-old could take me and you both down when it comes to technology.
Sure.
And technology advancement, right? But my daughter doesn't go on Amazon. And trust me, they have all our credit cards. They got all our shit, right?
Yeah.
They've overtaken my wife and I. But my daughters will get in the car and they'll buy a new collar for Izzy at that store, or a different leash, or they'll go buy her favorite dog treats. I'm sure it's available on Amazon, but that's not what they do. That's not their patterns, not the habits. It will change. Obviously, it has changed. It will continue to change. But to say to an extreme that it will be over with and there won't be a value or a niche, I don't think that's the case at all. And Amazon's a behemoth, but I think Amazon's also a behemoth because it got AWS.
Yeah.
I mean, Cisco is like, one of the biggest clients to AWS, not Amazon, but AWS, which is Amazon. But that's a $1 billion, technology company that's selling cloud servicing, right? And fiber optics in another division, and whatever else. It's more than, a dog food or toothpaste I get quickly from here. And I look at the phone, Jesus, 20 text messages. Sorry about that. I come back into the call. Embrace the future, embrace the change, but be careful on the reaction on all of it. Because I watch Amazon, and you know what I see when I see Amazon? When I say I watch Amazon, when I'm walking down my street and I see the Amazon trucks, do you know what I see? It's UPS.
Nope. Yeah.
UPS.
Yeah, their delivery system. Yeah.
It's a delivery system. It's absolutely a delivery system. And there might be the individuals that say, buy 90% of my products from that delivery system, and good for them. But I have 3 daughters. They got a lot of friends. I have a lot of younger friends. And I go to the grocery store, I still see it packed with people. When I go and buy gym shoes, I'm still going on a Saturday afternoon and I'm going to the gym shoe store. I don't want to put a label package back, sticking. Maybe the younger generation will be different, but I haven't seen my kids do it. My daughter still goes to Sephora or whatever a makeup store is, right? To do the makeup, and they go and they do these traditional things. Sometimes, like I was telling you on the call, it's like, man, I don't know what to do on weekends because my girls are out of sports or grown and I'm twiddling my thumbs and it's 30 degrees outside. So I'm not going to go golfing. So what am I going to do? I want something experiential.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the PGA store, I guess, and check out a wedge there versus the same wedge I could buy on Amazon. Or I'm going to go to Oak Brook and I might look for a new pair of shoes and grab lunch and a glass of wine at lunch. And I think obviously the change has come, the change will continue to change, but a pendulum always has to settle in the middle. It will swing one way here, it will swing the other way there, but eventually it comes in the middle. And there's room for everybody and there's room for everything.
I think your point about experiential sort of opportunities are really something that our listeners can take home, because we're all hungry for having a immersive experience, and agents can take advantage of that. And let's give a couple of ways you can do that.
Well,
Number one.
Let me chime into that for a second,
Sure.
real quick. And that's like a lot of things that like different businesses do and coming to our brokerages. Ours is an office meeting, a workshop. That's another's is a party, an open bar. There's no right or there's no wrong. It's just like, what experience do you want to fit into who you are? And it comes down to that. And for the real estate agent, right? And like you said, the experience, and that's being the friend of the consumer, being there, talking through it, let them go through the motions. I cut you off, but I wanted to chime in on that because that's why our office spaces, we have them and we'll continue to have them because it provides that.
Yeah, I was one of my friends, Melanie Everett here in Chicago. She built her now she has her own brokerage. She built her entire practice up. This is pre-pandemic. In her whole real estate business, doing in-person events for first-time home buyers called So You Want to Buy a Condo. And she just had her first in-person event a couple days ago since the pandemic. And so it was 2.5 years of only doing them online. And I thought, and I didn't know she was doing one in person, or else I would have coached her if she would have said, not that she would ask me for coaching, but if she were to say, do you think I should go back? I'd be like, everyone's on Zoom, do it on Zoom. And Boy, I saw pictures from her in-person event at some restaurant. And it was absolutely jam-packed, standing room only, because people just like me, I went to the Zillow conference. It was so nice to be there in person. So yeah, these in-person experiential events, I think we're hungry for it more than ever right now. So you have, as an agent, have this opportunity to bring your sphere closer together and do something fun that no one's been able to even do for several years. And you have this opportunity, maybe it's even just volunteering and saying, hey, who wants to help me go spend an afternoon helping, a less fortunate, community. Those are experiences that people are hungry for right now. And even just getting together and hanging out or idea sharing. There's something, people are sick of being online. I know I am.
And that's the pendulum coming to settle back in the middle. And I know for the past 2 years, every time about office spaces are going to go away and all that other stuff. And they have, I have a friend who works at HSBC and they got rid of 70%, according to him, 70% of their office space. When I was walking my dog 2 days ago, I walked past a new neighbor of mine and I said, how are you? He's like, I'm okay. I got to start going back to work. I go, oh, where do you work? He says, the Sears Tower. I said, oh, that's cool. He goes, yeah, I'm kind of bummed. I go, why? He goes, I got to go back 3 days a week. We got to be there 3 days a week. And I thought to myself, get ready, buddy, because it's going to be 5 a year from now.
Yeah. Someone's paying that bill.
Well, not only that, I really think you might see, who am I to give predictions? I think you might see a commercial real estate boom here in the next few years. I think we may see a recession. We're going through a real estate agent recession, which we have, there's a lot to talk about. We can talk about the next one, but when there is no inventory and there's not stuff to buy, you guys who are listening to this podcast right now, you all should be incredibly proud of yourself. Okay. I was in this business in 2008. This is the same exact environment in 2008, except for in 8, there were all sellers, no buyers. In 22, there's all buyers and no sellers. So we are in a real estate agent recession. There is no doubt. I think we're probably 4 to 5 months through it. I think the end is probably pretty clear. I think you're eventually going to start seeing industry papers and whatnot calling it a real estate agent recession, because that's what it is. But it will change and this will pass. And then I think then you're going to see an economic recession. I feel like that's going to happen, but it's okay. You have to have these economic cycles and then it all comes back and the pendulum eventually comes back in the middle. And you know what? If I was a young buck, corporate America, 27-year-old guy, the last thing I want to be doing is working from home. You want to know why? I want to be promoted. I want to make sure I'm not gonna get fired. I want to see my boss. Hey, man, here's what I did. Or woman, here's what I did. This is what I'm doing. This is what's going on. Like that, those human instinct, those natural, that's not going away. And so we've had an extreme 2.5 years. It's not normal. The world is not going to go that way. It's going to settle back in the middle, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think agents have this unique opportunity now where, if you have the free time, which of course is always a challenge for agents, is you have this opportunity to go visit people in person. I was talking to, this is a little bit of a different way of doing that that I'm about to share. So I met an owner, a brokerage owner who's in the South. She has 2,000 agents and they had 15 offices. She asked all of her agents, hey, I'm thinking about getting rid of the offices. What do you guys think? And so most everyone signed off on it saying, I don't really use them. It's no big deal. So she says, okay, but I'll make you a deal. I don't want to do this just to save money because that doesn't help you, the agent, that helps me, the owner, and I work for you guys. So she's like, I promise if you want these offices to close, and I want you to really think about it, and we'll just let sort of everyone vote on it. I will take the money that I'm saving on that and I will spend it on you. And what does that mean? I'm going to come visit, the same locations, the same areas, and we're going to do lunches and we're going to do fun events. We're going to do in-person events. And I'm going to take that money and put it back into you. And she said she wasn't sure how that was going to land. She wasn't sure if her agents wanted to go have lunches and hang out. And sure enough, she's like, yeah, okay, she's closed all but 2 of her offices. So she has a couple places where people can still go and use, but she goes, I'm having so much more fun that she's been doing this since 2003. She's like, I'm having so much fun going around and meeting with my agents, seeing them in person and doing this. And so this idea of having experiential, and you could do that inside of an office too, but she's just reallocating resources. And I think agents can kind of do really fun things like that now, where agents can do in-person events. They can go visit their clients and drop things off at their front door, and maybe even, get invited in, which we couldn't do for so long. This is just a great opportunity when right now there's a lot we can't control, like you were saying, inventory, right? Every agent I know is frustrated because their buyer clients, of course, can't find anything. And yes, we're all dealing with that, but fundamentals are what win the game, right? And that's something you can't control. But what you can control is caring about your sphere, and getting more in touch with them and helping them, and being there to guide them. And you can do that in person now. And I think you're right. I think if agents can kind of weather the storm, and it is a tough storm right now, I totally get it. It's feast or famine if you're a listing agent versus a buy side agent.
Right.
But it is, but you know what? And we're starting to see exodus, right? We are starting to see people leave the industry because they're just not able to practice anymore. And if they were able just to eke it out and work with their sphere and say, we'll get through this, I'm with you. That's really all that a client ever really wants, is somebody that goes, I'm on your side. I get it's tough right now. We're going to get through it. I'm working for you. And I think this is a huge opportunity. You were saying you doubled down in 2008 with your marketing, whereas everyone else was easing off the gas, saying, I don't know if this is a good time to be promoting my business when I can't service my clients. And you doubled down and you said it was the best thing you ever did.
Yeah. And that's why, I was meeting with somebody, and I can't recall, but that's why, we do the marketing for our agents. I kind of want to take that decision out of their head, right? And be like, hey, it's all about, like what I read to you earlier, it's all about consistency. It's that, it's that magic that's out there. It's not rocket science. It's about being consistent. An agent is like somebody running for an office. What's your campaign? What's your marketing campaign? And is it direct mail? Is it digital? Is it email? It's all those things combined with, pressing the flesh, right? Connecting with individuals. And I really think social media is best for R&D. Research somebody and then develop a relationship with them more so than marketing, right? If I could show you my news feed, it's going to be the same 50 people that Facebook has decided. These are the people that you want to see out of my 4.3 thousand friends on Facebook. Some of them, somebody's selling something to me and I'm not seeing it because there's only 45 or 50 people that I see because that's what Facebook says I should see. And I'm not going to be able to do it. But there's other ways to getting to me. There's direct mail, there's digital marketing, there's email marketing. And then there's also just connecting me and be asking me, hey, how you doing? How's Lens? How's Samantha? How are the girls? What's going on with your life? And so on and so forth. And that's the kind of individual that I'm going to transact with when I am the decision maker in a purchase.
I've lived in I bought a new development a year ago, a little over a year ago. Do you know, in that entire year, the number of, now again, new address, not an established address that people can just, send mailers to. Do you know how many real estate postcards or mailers I've received in that year? Zero. And I think now, yes, of course, you could make the argument, you're probably not going to move anytime soon. And yeah, that's true. I'm not. But
4 people who are buying a home. That's every year, 4 people who buy someone. That's called a referral. Yep.
And I mean, even if all you did was send a congratulations on this new home that you bought, or that, or just, hey, I want to introduce myself. You might not know me. I'm so-and-so. I hope you're enjoying your new place. I'm going to stay in touch with you because I know you're probably going to be moving at some point in your life, and I want to earn that business. And whether you say it that directly or you say it more subtly, I've gotten zero. There are 46,000 real estate agents in the Chicagoland area. Not one of them thought to send a postcard to a new address. And yeah, I get it. You can't do everything, but like nobody's doing that. I was shocked. I am shocked. Not one of my agents either. Nobody.
I have an agent that was on another agent's team prior to joining us. Joined us 4 years ago, maybe 3.5 years ago. And she's been in the business since the late 2000s. Okay. And, 3.5 years ago was essentially a buyer's agent for another agent, and didn't brand herself at all. By the way, it was at a really, really big real estate company, right? That's really well known out there. But she wasn't. She wasn't. The company was, but she wasn't. She sold $44 million worth of real estate last year. $44 million worth of real estate with the correct campaign put around her. There was a monster, a nice monster, like a nice, cute monster inside this person, right? That is now just completely dominating. But the marketing is consistent, the activities are consistent, and the results are now consistent.
Yeah, and I think what you do is so important for agents, and it's really a unique value proposition to what I've seen at just about any other firm. I can't even think of an alternative, and we have hundreds of firms here in the Chicagoland area. But you're the only one I know who actually automates the marketing for the agents, and I'm sure there's other people that do, but
yeah.
But the fact, but here's what I love about it. I equate this. So the reason I was a few minutes late to jumping on this call is I was coming back from the gym. And the only reason that I get to the gym, I've struggled with it my whole life. I've said it a million times on the show. People are sick of me talking about it, but it's because I have a trainer. Because having a trainer, yes, she's extremely skilled and she's awesome. And I'm not trying to denigrate all of the cool things she does or diminish them. But the main reason I use her, aside from the fact that she's super knowledgeable and really good at her job, is it keeps me accountable. I don't have to think about it. If I have to think about getting to the gym, I don't do it. I just don't. I've struggled my whole life, and it's an expensive thing to do, but it gets me to the gym. And you were just saying consistency. I now, have muscles for the first time in my life. And like, it doesn't really matter who cares, but it's just consistency and results just happen. And I no longer have to think about it. And so I think what you offer is so important, because agents can't be good at everything and they have to run the entire business. They just can't do it all.
Look, you haven't exactly. And again, there's a value proposition for everybody out there. And you even have listen, I have agents that get recruited away too, right? And
sure.
Your agent I was talking a while ago, and this particular agent is like, the technology is really cool. I could create a Canva. I could create a postcard. I could create a brochure from this thing, and I just let it be. And I said to myself, well, yeah, that's what we have our admins here doing for you. Do you want to be on a computer creating that stuff, or do you want to be out with your network and selling real estate? And so everybody's got to go on their path and journey and do it. But that's cool. We have all those things there. I just don't put them in your lap, because is that what you want to be doing? Or do you want to be doing that administrative work? Of course it's out there. It's been out there since, the start of the web browser, for Christ's sakes, and the evolution of a couple of these companies and whatnot. It's always been out there. I just think somebody's got to do it. I'd rather it be a salaried employee who's not responsible for going out and making a kill, right, to make a living, and what you need to be trained on, right, for your muscles, like you referred to. It's not marketing. It's not the marketing and all that stuff. That's all done for you. We have the tools here. You could go do it yourself, but I have a classically trained graphic designer who could do all that stuff for you with the technology that's out there. Why don't we get you engaged? Why don't you brand you in your community? Why don't we get you engaged? Why don't we show you how to hold yourself accountable to connecting with all these particular individuals, and watch that $10 million business becomes $20 million worth of business. And now do the math on $10 million of additional production. That's a lot of payola.
Yeah, I think it's a great place to wrap up. I think, what we're really talking about I always call it like the John Wooden sort of key to success. If you look up John Wooden, we read his Wikipedia entry. I can't remember how many. I think he won 7 NCAA championships for men's basketball in a row. And I think he ended up winning 9 out of 11 or 9 out of 13. He's considered the winningest coach in NCAA history. And his whole thing was not about talent, although of course he recruited talent. It was all about consistency and practice. Everything was, you're going to shoot 500 free throws a day. We're going to track it. We're going to see how you're doing every single day, so that when you get to that foul line with 1 second left on the clock and you have to make that clutch free throw, you've put in 100,000 reps, and you're probably going to sink the shot, because otherwise, we lead it up to emotion. We lead it up to how you feel in that moment. without having the consistency behind you of just putting the blinders on and going, I'm just making another free throw shot, you're more likely to succeed. And he's famous for saying he never looked at the scoreboard. And you know what I've noticed about top producers is, at least the one, not all of them, of course, everyone's different, but the majority of top producers I talk to have no idea what their rank is. They don't even really know how much their overall production is day to day. They just know that they're busy. And they're just like, oh, I a lot of times I say, oh, I just saw you hit 50 million. They go, did I? Oh, okay, awesome. And of course they have a general idea, but just, they put their blinders on and just get to work. And they don't focus on the outcome as much as the discipline, and the discipline ultimately gets you there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this was great, DJ. I appreciate you having me. I enjoy this. I missed you last time, and I apologize. I was on our spring break with our family, and I completely missed the call, and I missed the scheduling. So sorry about that.
No problem at all. We get it. I mean, you're running multiple companies with hundreds and hundreds of employees and a family, and of course, all the other things that you do. So we appreciate your time. You're a busy guy, and we're so grateful to have you on the show. So I want everyone too, who might be in the Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, or Florida market, if you're interested in exploring a firm that does help take some, everyone talks about coaching and training, right? Every firm uses that as and you guys do a great job. You actually have real coaches, and you do that. I don't know that that's always the most interesting differentiator for what DApril Properties offers agents, because I think, that buzzword of training and coaching just gets thrown around by everybody, and it's hard to sort of understand who really provides it. You guys do, but I think the idea of automating marketing is, for me, I'm a marketer. I know how important it is. And that's the thing that most agents struggle with. I think most firms offer some level of coaching. Some are better than others, but this idea of automating marketing, oh my gosh, I just see that as such a great thing. So if you're an agent and you're struggling in that way, or if you do want better coaching, or both, check out DApril Properties. They have a ton of people that would love to chat with you and tell you more about what they do. And by the way, they don't just do real estate agent stuff. They also have a loan officer company. So they have Midwest Lending. They have your title company. You have all sorts of different employees. You have a design firm that's in your offices, as well as lending and just lots of other services. So check out DAprilProperties.com. They would love to chat with you and talk about how they're a bit different than
And
some of the other
soon,
players.
by the way, we might have a CRM that might be available to the public. So still kind of working on those little things, but that might be soon as coming out as well.
I'm excited for that, because I like CRMs that are designed by agents versus tech companies, because tech companies can build a CRM,
Yep.
and then they have to have the users use it and say, how is this working? And
Right.
then they usually go back for version 2, which tends to be better. You're an agent focused company that happen to get into the tech space. So I always think that those tend to just get built better from the ground up. So we'll definitely be chatting about that as that rolls out. So for everyone else who's listening, thank you so much for being on our show. Check out DApril Properties, again, DAPRILE properties.com. We'd love to talk to you about what they offer. And also, we want to thank our agents I want to thank my agents, but for everyone listening, all of our listeners and viewers, I want to thank you for supporting our show. Please support our sponsors, support our guests like Ryan. Check out DAPRILProperties.com. And also, please tell a friend. That's the only thing we really ever ask. Tell one other agent about our show. Tell them, show them our website or show them our podcast, and have them check out an episode, see if we can get more people to listen. We would appreciate it. Thanks, Ryan. And we will see everybody on the next episode.
Thanks, DJ.